In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at how to set up WireGuard on pfSense. Now, before we get started, I want to give the disclaimer that the WireGuard package is experimental, so you might run into a few issues. I also have full written instructions in the description of the video if you'd like to follow along there. So the first thing that we have to do is go through and install the WireGuard package in pfSense. So you can open up the package manager, search for WireGuard, and then install the latest version. Now, I had to upgrade pfSense to version 2.6 in order to get this to work. So if you're currently running 2.5.2, you might run into some issues. The issue that I ran into was that the WireGuard service would not start. Anytime I tried to start it, it would immediately go back to a stopped state. So when I upgraded to version 2.6, that issue went away. I can't guarantee that's going to happen to everybody, but if you're running into that issue, you might have to upgrade to version 2.6. Now, after the package has installed, you can select VPN, then WireGuard, and the first thing that we're going to do is create a tunnel. So you can select Add Tunnel at the bottom. In the tunnel configuration, make sure that Enable Tunnel is selected. You're going to give the description of WireGuard, or you can set this as whatever you'd like. On the listen port, we're going to set that as 51820. That is the default WireGuard port. And then we're going to go through and we're going to generate new keys. So you're going to have a private key and a public key after you do this. You have to copy the public key. At a later point, we're going to have to go through and use this public key on our client configuration. So you can copy it now and paste it in a notepad or something, but you can always go back at a later time, edit this configuration, and get this public key if you need it. So after that, you can go through and create the tunnel. And the last thing that we're going to do here is we're going to check our settings and ensure that the Enable WireGuard option is selected. So you can save and apply that. And at this point, our tunnel is fully configured. So we're going to move on to setting up our interface. Select Interfaces, then Assignments. And at the bottom, we're going to add the tunnel that we just created. Now, after you add it, it's going to be given a name and it's going to start with opt, and then it's most likely going to have a number next to it. You can select that, and that's going to allow us to edit this interface. So the first thing that you have to do is ensure that the interface is enabled, and then you can give it a description. I'll be using the WG_VPN description. After that, you can select static IPv4 under the IPv4 configuration type. Moving down a little bit, we're then going to have to give it an IP address. So I'm setting it as 10.200.0.1, but you can go through and make this any subnet you want. Just make sure that it ends with .1. Finally, ensure that you're using /24 and you can save and apply the interface settings. At this point, our WireGuard tunnel and our interface has been set up. So we're going to move on to creating our firewall rules. Select Firewall, then Rules, and under WG_VPN, that's our WireGuard interface that we just created, we're going to add a new rule. Go inside of here and change the protocol from TCP to any, give the rule a description, and then you can save this. After that, we're going to have to create our WAN rule. This is going to allow you to access WireGuard from outside of your local network. So under WAN, you can create a new rule, and then you're going to change the protocol to UDP and change the port from and to 51820. Once again, this is going to ensure that UDP port 51820 is allowed outside of your local network. Give the rule a description, and then you can save and apply both of these firewall rules. So now that our firewall rules are created, we're going to move on to creating a peer. And it's important to understand how peers work. So I'm going to be using the terminology server for pfSense and client for peer. I'm not entirely sure if that's exactly how the terminology should be used, but in my head, that's what makes the most sense. So that's how I'm going to explain it. Now, I'm going to be using the Windows client for WireGuard to set this up, but the reality is that it's going to be the exact same across everything. This is just from a visual standpoint, what I think is the easiest to actually look at and try and understand. So in the WireGuard client, I'm going to go through and I'm going to add an empty tunnel. The first thing that you're going to see is that a private key and a public key were automatically generated. So the way that you have to think about this is that the WireGuard server, meaning pfSense, has a public and a private key, and then the WireGuard clients that will be connecting to your pfSense server have a public key and private key as well. And we're in essence going to be just telling them to connect to each other. Now this public key is very important because we're going to need that in order to set up our peer configuration in pfSense. So inside of here, you have to copy that public key information, and then we're going to go into pfSense and we're going to create a new peer. So in pfSense, you can select VPN, then WireGuard again, and then you're going to select peers and you're going to add a new peer. The first two things that you have to do is select the tunnel that we already created, and then you can give this peer a description. At the bottom here, this is where we're going to have to configure a few items. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to paste in that public key that we received from our Windows WireGuard client. So you can go through and you're going to have to enter this based on whatever you're using. If you're using the iPhone or the Android application, you're going to have to copy the public key from there. But the point is the public key here should be the public key from the client that you're trying to connect from. Right underneath that, you're going to see the pre-shared key, and you can generate a new pre-shared key if you'd like. What this really does is it just increases the security slightly because it ensures that the public keys on both ends need to match, but the pre-shared key needs to match as well. So there's basically two items that have to match in order for you to connect. The last thing that you have to set is in the allowed IP section below, you have to specify this as the IP address that you want the client to actually use. Now this is important because on the client side as well, there's going to be an allowed IP section, but this is a little different. The way that I think about this one is the IP address that you want your client to use. That's what you have to put here. Ensure that you use /32 and then you can save this. Now at this point, the peer is fully configured on the pfSense side. So we have to move back to our client, and in this case, it's our Windows client. We have to move back to that Windows client and we have to finish configuring that. So I pasted in a bunch of information here, and this is what we're going to have to fill out. So at the top here, you're going to see address. Now this is going to be the IP address that you selected in the allowed IPs section of pfSense. The difference here is on that server setup, you configured it as /32. In order for this to work and for you to be able to access everything, this has to be /24. In the DNS section, you can use whatever DNS servers you want to use. I'm personally just using Google. And then at the bottom here, we're going to have to enter in some of this information underneath the peer section. Now, once again, the public key for this peer is going to be the public key for your pfSense server. So on the pfSense server for our peer configuration, we set it as the public key of our WireGuard Windows client. And here, underneath the peer section, we're setting it as the public key of our pfSense server. So you're, in essence, exchanging public keys so that they know to connect to each other. Underneath pre-shared key here, this is going to be if you're using the pre-shared key. If you are not using the pre-shared key, you don't have to set up anything here. You could just remove this line. If you are using it though, you have to enter it in here. On both the server, meaning pfSense, and the client, meaning our Windows WireGuard client, the pre-shared key should match. Now there's two final settings that we have to change. The first is the allowed IPs. So this is going to be the traffic that you want to be routed through this WireGuard tunnel. So in order to explain this a little better, I'm going to use a really quick example here. And I have a really basic split tunnel VPN and full tunnel VPN image that I'm going to use. Now with a split tunnel VPN, you're only going to be routing traffic for the items on your home network or wherever pfSense is stored. So for me in this example, if I was to access my NAS IP address, it would automatically go through that VPN tunnel. However, if I was accessing Google, it would go directly straight to the internet. For a full tunnel VPN, everything is being routed through that WireGuard VPN tunnel. So if you were to go to a NAS IP address or you were to go to Google, it's going to connect through that tunnel, and then it's automatically going to route the traffic back to the internet if needed. So the way that this relates to our WireGuard client configuration is that in this allowed IP section, this is going to be what you want routed over that tunnel. So we set our WireGuard VPN subnet to be 10.200.0.0. So I'm going to put that here, and I'm going to use /24 to ensure that I hit all IP addresses in that subnet. The second IP subnet that I'm going to use is the subnet for my local network. So this is where I'm hosting devices like my NAS and other devices. This is just going to ensure that I can connect to those. Now this is for a split tunnel VPN setup. If you were to go to Google, the traffic would not be routed over this VPN tunnel. It would just go directly to Google. If you do want a full tunnel VPN, you're going to come in here and under the allowed IPs, you're going to set it as 0.0.0.0/0. This just ensures that all of your traffic is going to be routed over this VPN tunnel. Now, finally, the last setting in our client configuration is going to be our endpoint. Now, this is going to be the endpoint that you want to connect to from outside of your local network. If you have a static external IP address, you can enter that in here. However, if you have a dynamic external IP address, you're going to have to enter in your DDNS hostname. If you don't have a DDNS hostname, I have written instructions on how you could set it up with DuckDNS. I'll leave those in the description. Or I have a video that you can use that will show you how to set it up with your own domain and Cloudflare. Whatever you'd like to use, you just have to ensure that you're able to connect to your external IP address from outside of your local network. After that, you can append the port 51820. That's the port we configured on our pfSense configuration. And now this client is fully configured. So you can save this, and as long as you're on an external network at this point, you should be able to connect back to your WireGuard VPN. Now you're going to have to go back and create peers for as many devices as you have. This is our Windows client, but if we wanted to set up an Android device or an iOS device, you're going to have to go through the same thing. The settings are the same. You just have to make sure that you're matching everything up for whatever client you're using. But assuming that you have everything set up and configured properly, you should be able to connect and you should be able to access those local resources. Now, I'm hoping that this video helped you guys out. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to you. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to the channel if you like this type of content. Thanks, guys.